Well, hi, everyone. Syleste Rodriguez here with The Balancing Act, and thank you all for joining us. We'd love to bring you insightful, encouraging, inspiring, and really educational content with every episode. And so we're so glad that you are here. I'd like to introduce our guest here today, and this is Jenn Maggiore. Good afternoon, Jenn.
Hi.
Good to see you, my friend. CEO of Always This Good. That is just one of the things that she does because you do so much and have helped so many people and women. And we met making ramen at your house.
That's right. Yes. Long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And I always remember that because it was like such a good time. I feel like the idea of breaking bread with people is such an appropriate time to get to know someone.
It really is. I have to say, though, just for the record, that it was a very authentic recipe. This was not the instant ramen, and it was with a friend who is a foodie. So that is, I think I need some context.
That is true. It wasn't like noodles in a cup, although the cup of noodles is good.
No problem with that.
There's a place and a time for it, for sure.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks
so
for having
appreciate
me.
it. Let's start off with what you do. What is Always This Good? And I love the name, by the way.
Thanks. It was inspired by a family toast. So my husband, we are all Italian, but he is kind of more like recently here speaks, my husband doesn't, but his family speaks Italian. And so in Italian, they toast always this good or better. So maybe always this good or better, which seemed appropriate when I started the business 20 years ago. But it's a business consulting firm. But everything that we do, we are incorporating burnout prevention and stress management for sustainable success.
And so there have been, we've had you on the air here at Fox 10 several times over the course of a couple of different companies that you've had. And you have so much great knowledge in not just, I feel like, helping entrepreneurs and people pursue business, but you also have a lot of knowledge in the area of social media. How did you get in and break into like what you do now?
So it was an iterative process. When I started my business 20 years ago as a solopreneur, it was just as social media kind of became a thing. And so I was really interested in it and its potential. As time went on, though, it started to feel like, one, it was a medium that I could not control. There were a lot of, issues and scandals and things that were breaches, privacy issues. And so our clients come looking to me because they're giving me the money. So it's something I couldn't control. But over time, I started to run myself down. Our son, who's now 18 and happy and healthy, had a brain tumor when he was 2 years old. The Great Recession hit, and my husband and I were both brand new entrepreneurs in startup phase. It was a really, really challenging time. And so I compensated by, I would work all night. I would be up. I was very proud of my emails to my staff at 3 a.m. They would wake up to my emails, and I, wore it as a badge of pride that I was awake working all night, which is so sick in retrospect. But I just started to run myself down. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I do think in part it was an autoimmune response to what I was putting myself through, the stress of that time and not taking care of myself. And as I started on my own journey to wellness, going to therapy, mindfulness, I started having these conversations, and it was really particularly my female clients, my women clients that were doing the same thing. And so just little by little started to incorporate some of the things that had worked for me that seemed to work pretty well for them.
What's interesting is that I think it's so appropriate. You went through all of these very challenging things, and you still have your own company, but in some way or form, you have found balance. When you were sending those emails out at 3 a.m. and you wore them as a badge of honor, what did it take for you to put that aside and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore? And was that difficult?
To be completely honest, it took a complete and total crash and burn. I was very, very sick, like to the point that I wasn't working. I had, at the time, 2 toddlers that I could not take care of very much on my own without a lot of help from my husband and support from our family. And it really took, I think sometimes we see the writing on the wall and we don't pay attention, and those lessons just kind of gradually get bigger and bigger. And my lesson had to get really big until finally I could no longer deny. It was almost kind of like crashing and burning and then having to sort of rebuild within my limits. And so I learned those limits very quickly. And at first it was difficult, but then when I realized that what came along with some of those self-limitations of being more happy, being a more present mom, accepting that I couldn't do as much as I wanted to do. It actually was this really great thing with a lot of benefits.
Yeah, I think you touched on the idea of being present, and there's like so many great things that we can do in life, but there was a mom who once told me, she was like, the greatest legacy we will ever leave behind to our children. And that was a few years ago, and it really resonated with me. And I was thinking, so now sometimes when I think, do I want to go to that party, or do I want to go to that event or whatever, or do I want to go to my kids' games? And I thought, I get to go to their games, and I get to go to their tournaments and drive them around.
Yeah.
And it was a hard shift when you were going through that crash and burn, and like you started going through therapy and the mind shift. What do you recall that made the biggest difference for you?
That's a really good question. I think it was the realization that there was something more meaningful and bigger than just myself that I had been denying and not paying any attention to, that was just much more meaningful, right? So that sense of connection with the people around me, my family, being present to my husband and my kids, that sense of connection with the world around me, the people around me, but also the sense of connection with myself. Like, I had really disconnected from myself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and all, right? I'm just suppressing everything to work like a robot through this difficult time. And that realization, it was, it's kind of gradual over time, but, once I discovered that was the thing that I was like, oh, this is the thing that comes before all else in all circumstances all the time. If I take care of that, if I attend to myself spiritually, everything else falls into place the way it should. And
there's like this certain sense of peace that kind of you have, like your priorities are then in order.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is your story also something, if you can share a little bit about your business and how you help entrepreneurs? And I've called Jenn on many occasions and been like, what do you think about this idea? Or what do you think about that? And you're such a great person to bounce ideas off of. Is your story also a part of when you have these like peer groups and training sessions with companies and things like that?
It's my favorite thing to do. It's one of my favorite things. It's so interesting for me because as much as I teach, I'm always learning, which is exciting for me, right? I think no matter how much you achieve or how many accolades you have or how recognized you are, you can always learn something from other people in the room. And it's interesting because we do have these groups where we might have, executive leadership and then employees. We've got people from different levels, different walks of life, different experience in industries. And so I am always learning, but I think it's also really exciting when I get to see the people in the room supporting each other. And it's interesting because we work with corporate teams, but we also have programs that are specific to women business leaders, like our mastermind program. And when they get together in a retreat or we're on a virtual call and they are finally able to just sort of open up and stop pretending and really share what's going on for them, the support that I see them give to each other it's incredible.
Do you find also that in those moments there's like I can imagine like in that setting with all these women, I would just start bawling. Like
it happens all the
Yeah, because there is this sense of like true release of stress and guilt and things that we feel
everything.
Like, right?
Yep. It's really interesting. I think there are people who do what I did, which is sort of ignoring a lot of things and suppressing a lot of things. I think there are people that feel like, I think especially as women, sometimes honestly, it's really hard to find someone who can be happy for us and not feel threatened or not feel like they wish for, for something more for themselves. And so we're kind of dimming our own light. It's really tough. And you finally get into this room of people who have no motive. They don't want anything from you. They're not there for any other thing but to connect and to learn and to grow. And we have people that tell us, when we're really digging into the obstacles that they face in work and in life, we always talk about these symptoms, but we start to dig into the underlying cause. Well, why do you have employee turnover? Oh, you have relationship baggage that in your personal life that carries over to work, or we're really talking about those kind of underlying root causes, and it does get very emotional to the point that our team went through trauma-informed services so that we're able to recognize, a range of emotions can point back to having had a negative experience, adversity, a traumatic experience. And so understanding that anger can show up that way, sadness, confusion, avoidance. and then being able to point somebody in the right direction to kind of start to work on that has been tremendously helpful and rewarding.
You know what's interesting? You mentioned that some of those leaders had baggage from their personal life that then like trickled into their professional.
Everybody wants to deny it, but yes, 100% that happens. Yes.
Like if you had a bad situation with girlfriends or an ex-husband or a bad divorce that you went through or a bad breakup, if you haven't completely like forgiven those people or released it, then you're carrying those into your professional life.
Absolutely.
Which is, we don't always make that connection.
It's interesting. I think everybody sort of goes around with this belief that we are somebody different from 9 to 5. And it's really interesting because sometimes in a retreat, we might start to pull that thread and then suddenly things unravel, right? And it's, if you are a person who really sort of struggles to empathize or identify with somebody in your personal life, very likely that's happening at work. If you are somebody who's very impatient or is maybe you lack a lot of emotional intelligence, those things that are impacting relationships negatively in your personal life, absolutely that shows up at work. And we see that really, I mean, it's pretty universal if finance is an issue, right? If you've got some funny kind of mindset issues or beliefs around money, you carry that into your work as well. So business is kind of the ultimate opportunity for self-improvement. It's very interesting.
You know what? That's an interesting thing to bring up because we do think we compartmentalize. Like, I'm going to leave this at home and and especially I feel like in, at least here with like AZAM, like there's so much ad lib and so much free flow that who you are will come out
shows up
on
absolutely
TV. And you've been on the air with us, so there's like it's that is the show. Like you just
you're there because of your personality. People love you.
Yeah. So and we're so grateful that people tune in, because it's fun. But you do find those moments where it's like the ad lib, because so much of it is free flow. It's like you really have to be comfortable in your own skin.
Absolutely.
And it took me at least also a long time to get.
I'm sure it took a long time. And I think in a situation that you're in with your occupation, right, it's probably being open to feedback, open to teamwork,
right,
trusting the people that you're working with, right, like that kind of. It could feel like free fall, like
and
is
having
this person my safety net,
a thick
right?
skin, and
absolutely.
Being able to
Everyone's got an opinion, and they love to share it on social media, right? So
it's so true.
It takes, I'm sure, a lot, and so you probably see a lot where personal life can impact work and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. You were also describing these masterminds that you have as well. How many women are in these mastermind retreats or groups that you hold?
So they're all a little bit different. So for example, we have our destination retreat coming up in May in Maui, which I'm very excited about. And that one we have a little bit more capacity than normal. So we'll probably have like 15 to 20. The mastermind groups that meet regularly, we usually keep those pretty small, and then we'll just kind of start. So we have another cohort that will be starting at the end of this year as we look ahead to our goals in 2026. But those tend to be a little bit more intimate. They are women who are working together long term. So it really just depends on the program.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about having 2 boys and then kind of going through your own crisis, just being a workaholic. Your husband, where does he fit into this whole thing?
God bless him.
we never do it alone.
No, I couldn't. I'm telling you, I am not an ultra religious person, but if anything ever made me believe in God is that God put this man in my life, because first, I don't think there's another man that could put up with me, but he's so supportive in all the ways that I need and helps me to help other people. And he is funny. He can handle all of that. I'm very like type A. I have ADHD. He is the person remembering all the things for me. He's keeping me calm. He's the sounding board. He's an incredible human being.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. Like as women, we want to do all the things. Like we want to pack the school lunch, and we want to take the kids to school and pick them up.
We want to live the Instagram life.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And that does not exist.
It really doesn't. And we talk a lot about kind of choosing the things that are the most important things to us. I am, my kids are 18 and 14 and I'm still packing lunches, which partly makes me crazy. I'm like, why am I doing this?
I actually love that. I'm glad that you mentioned.
I love them. I love to do it, right? Like, and I think as time goes by and we all get older and we see how fast the time goes by, you realize your kids are not going to stay with you forever. And so,
Cue the tears.
I know. It's tough to think about empty nest time. Sometimes it's easy to think about it, but sometimes it's tough. But yeah, it's picking and choosing, right? We can't do all the things, but we pick those things that maybe kind of stay with your child throughout the day. They know that you were thinking about them, and they're very appreciative. They're good kids, so that helps.
I want to get to your boys in a quick minute, but I have to ask, so what did you pack for lunch for them today?
So I make awesome birria.
Oh.
Yeah. I know, we'll have to talk about that.
Wow, yes, we do.
Yes.
If you missed the top of the program, we have also made ramen together.
I like food, yes.
I do too, I love it.
So it's one of my favorite things to make, and so today I packed a salad, and they got some birria meat and some homemade ancho salsa, which is also one of our family favorites. So.
Oh my goodness, that's like a gourmet lunch. I bet the kids.
I don't think it's that great, but it's good.
I mean, I was up at 3:30 yesterday morning making teriyaki chicken and white rice
I don't know how you do
and broccoli. And then I just like meal prepped it for the kids. And then I do like a bolognese and I meal prep that too, so they have a choice.
Nice.
But there is something about feeling like I want to do it. And some days I'm so exhausted. It's hard. Your boys, 18 and 14, we were chatting just a few moments ago, and you said your 18-year-old is very mature. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 14 too? Are they pretty mature boys?
They both really are.
Yeah. So the 18-year-old is doing what right now?
So he is working at Land Rover in North Scottsdale.
Good for him.
He got a job as a valet, so he is this kid driving these $300,000 cars. It's the most incredible dream job, and he's studying to get his real estate license to work with my husband, who has a residential real estate brokerage. But he's just a delightful. They are both just delightful human beings, and I just there's times I think as parents, right, you're kind of fighting with your kids about things, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, is this kid going to grow up to be like a sociopath? Like, is this my legacy? Because I'm concerned right now. Is this my legacy? But as time goes on and you kind of start to trust them and you give them more freedom and the responsibilities that come along with that freedom, and you start to see them grow up, and it's just incredible. I mean, I think he is holding down responsibilities that I don't see a lot of people his age holding down, and he is funny and he is kind and he's a good person and a good friend, and I'm so proud of him.
And it's good to show too that like a 4-year university, we've been talking about it for years. It's not for everybody.
It's not.
And so if he is into real estate and your husband has his own company and he's into real estate and it's something, hey, I want to do this with Dad. I mean, that's amazing.
And he'll be an incredible realtor. He's got the personality for it. It's so funny because I went to school before there was social media. So I went to school for marketing and wound up, a degree is always good. You learn things, but I didn't necessarily use those skills in my career. And then my husband started going to school, dropped out, started $1 million business. And so we have always been very open that it really depends on the kid and what they want to do. So like my younger son academically is, just amazing. And so I'm sure
smarter than the rest of us.
Oh, he's so bright, and he already knows he's interested in sustainability. So he will go on very likely to go to school, but we were always open to them kind of finding their own path, which takes a lot of stress out of. We learned very early, Mateo is like me, very strong-willed. You're not going to make him do something he doesn't want to do. And so when you kind of say, hey, I can accept this child for being their own person, it takes a lot of the stress out of parenting.
I think
just love
so
them.
Too. How do you balance that aspect with your own company? And you do these like masterminds, you travel. Mm-hmm. How do you make the puzzle work?
It's really interesting. One of the things that always made sense to me as an entrepreneur is freedom. It's having freedom, right? So like way before people talked about the laptop lifestyle, we were always looking at ways, how do we, what is that intersection of work and life, and how do we make it work? And so, we would plan programs in Maui, or we did a summer in Seattle, the places that we would want to go for work. And then we would, we'd bring our kids. And now that our kids are older, we're not with them all the time. We're necessarily bringing them with us everywhere we go.
Cue more tears.
I know. But we're always in touch, right? Life 360 is amazing.
It is.
I always know where those kids are. But we're always texting and in touch. And so, it takes a lot of organizing and a lot of planning and communication, but we're always just kind of making sure that what's important to each person gets prioritized.
Yeah. And then do you have like, two questions, you and your husband? Do you have like a date night dedicated?
Absolutely.
And then what about with the boys? Do you guys have a dedication where you're like, we're going to do family dinner. We're going to get together on this night?
For sure. That is something that we really made a core part of our lifestyle. So my son, who is 18, sometimes he's there for dinner and sometimes he's not, but there's always food waiting for him, right? There's certain things that will always hold true in our family, right? So almost always having dinner together if we can. My husband and I have a date night on the calendar, Friday night once a month, usually more often, but that's kind of the fail safe that we will have that time alone to talk. And then we started doing individual date nights with both of our boys.
Oh, okay.
And I realized, especially as they became teenagers, I got so much more from them. They get in the car and it's like, how are you? Fine. How was your day? Okay. And that's all you get. And then I realized, when I go spend time alone with them, I get so much more. And so last year we started taking just short little individual trips with them. So last year I took each of them to Disneyland, because I love Disneyland, to be completely honest.
Are you a grown-up Disneyland lover?
100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Love it. I grew up in Florida. I grew up in South Florida, so.
Favorite character?
Orange Bird.
Oh, who's that?
Oh, my gosh.
Orange
if you're
Bird?
from Florida, you know Orange Bird. Yes. I will send you.
Okay.
I'll send you a picture. But having that kind of longer term experience where I'm with them for a few days, the guard drops, and suddenly I'm hearing all about the friends and the drama and how school is, and it's amazing. So making time for those connections is hugely important.
Our son is 16 and he just got his license. He does not have a car, but I am secretly trying to hold off because I love driving him around. And he goes to football very early in the morning. We leave the house at 4:30 and drop him off at school. And so I love that moment, even though it's not a super long drive. And so I know that I'm going to miss it.
And as soon as he's got a car and he's driving, that's all. We will all be going someplace as a family, and he still wants to drive his own car. He makes his car payments. It's his car. He does a lot of work to it. So, yeah.
Does he have a Land Rover?
Not yet. I'm sure there is some insane exotic in his future. He's like his dad. His dad's first business when he left school was automotive aftermarket. So racing cars. And so he very much has followed in those footsteps.
There's a big market for that.
Yes.
People love fast cars.
Yeah. And great friends that come along with that scene too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is, when you look ahead, what is there for Always Is Good? I love the name, by the way. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is next for that and for you?
So many exciting things. We have been blessed. So this year we have added some people to our team that have really expanded our capacity and what we're able to do. Not necessarily probably doing anything new, but making everything that we're doing better. More masterminds, more retreats. I'm hoping next year that we might add a second destination retreat. So everybody loves the opportunity. Getting on a plane, I think people sometimes underestimate, but getting on a plane to go focus on your business is amazing. It's like you finally get that time to just listen to your own thoughts.
Yeah.
And so we have a following of people who love those. So probably just continuing to add to our retreats and our mastermind programs.
And we just have a couple of minutes left, but I want to make sure I fit this in. When people are looking for balance in their life, I feel like sometimes we have it and there's some days we don't, even though we try to have it every single day. And those moments where you're having trouble collecting yourself, what do you do? Is there do you set yourself aside? Do you do something special? How do you find balance in those crazy, chaotic moments?
That's a really good question. I completely agree with you. And I realized a long time ago, balance happens not daily, sometimes not even weekly, sometimes it's monthly, sometimes it's annually. There are times in the summer when my kids have been out of school that I'm very ready for them to go back because I need the balance of them being back in school. Or I'm missing them during the school year, but I know that summer is coming and making that time, right? So I do think you're spot on that balance happens with intention regardless of the time frames. And sometimes it's very short time we get to spend with people, but being present and really making that quality time is important. And I think for me, when I am lacking that balance, for one, I have an incredible partner in business and life. My husband is super helpful and amazing with that and helping me kind of think through things when things aren't working the way that they should. But for me, it's journaling. Oh. I couldn't tell you why, but journaling, I journal every single day. I journal about what has happened, what I want to have happen, the things that aren't really working. If I can't articulate it, it will come up in that form of journaling and really kind of getting to those underlying thoughts. And then, then we reprioritize. I live and die by my calendar.
Yeah. All right.
So
Jenn,
we're always adjusting.
Thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, so great to see you. Jenn Maggiore, always this good. Find balance, folks. Thanks for watching.